Coming up on today's Next Fan Up podcast.
Point out, next time you visit the United Kingdom, don't lead with that phrase because that's got a totally different meaning over here.
Oh, really?
What has a totally different meaning?
See, it was so dirty. Even the Wi-Fi from Scotland wouldn't allow him to say it.
Yeah. You remember the one where it was like...
He's older than you.
Yep.
That one.
Speaking about edibles, I mean...
No, I'm not on edibles. I'm just full of spunk. I can't wait to talk about these games.
Well, who am I to make Andy wait? It's week 12 of the NFL. Here we go.
That's how we start! Yeah, baby!
32 SuperFans.
Where do the reports come from? Did you get an initial?
One PodVader.
That's football.
Every angle of the NFL covered.
All that kind of stuff, I get it.
This
No question about it.
is Next Fan Up.
We're going to unleash hell here in December.
Hello and welcome to We Almost Got the Band Back Together edition of the Next Fan Up podcast. Hey, everybody. PodVader here. The band I'm referring to are the Thursday regulars. We are missing one of our Thursday regulars, that being James, our Eagles superfan, who seems to be on every podcast that we do. Unfortunately, James had other commitments. He is on assignment, so to speak. But two of our previous Thursday regulars have rejoined us, and we will start across the pond with the Scottish one known as Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hey, Jay. Hey, guys. How we doing? It's great to be back on again, and hopefully the signal or the connection or whatever it is, Jay, I hope you put 50 pence or 50 cent in your meter, and we can get through this.
Yeah, there's been some technical difficulties with getting Neil onto the show, but no technical difficulties with the guy who's no longer in Prison Zone 6. As a matter of fact, it shows that he is from the World Trade Center. It is Kevin, our Cowboys.
Is that where it says I'm from?
Yeah, that's where it says that you are right now. You're at the World Trade Center. Yeah,
that's a blatant lie. That's not correct. But hello everyone, welcome to be back. I mean, happy to be back. I didn't really get a formal welcome back party, but that's okay. I forgive you guys.
Sorry, we didn't bust out all the trumpets and whatnot for you.
It's okay. I understand.
It's a lot of extra work for me.
I have sent you some of your special brownies, Kevin.
Nah, I don't like edibles, to be honest with you.
Another guy that we haven't heard from in quite some time, and the map also says that he is too at the World Trade Center. I'm guessing that is also a blatant lie. It is our Dolphins superfan, Andy. Hello, Andy.
Good afternoon, friends, comrades. I hope everyone's doing well today. You know how you know you need a new job? When most of your coworkers are too young to recognize, when they hear it, the NFL on CBS jingle from the 90s.
Oh,
The old one.
That's interesting. It's funny because you said CBS jingle, and immediately I heard da 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 da, and that's not.
No.
90s.
So the
90s
one
version.
they've had from 2003 onward is da 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 da. Da. I'm talking about the one. Todd, you're old enough. You remember the one where it was like.
He's older than you.
Yep.
That one.
Speaking about edibles, Jam, what did you eat this afternoon, Coilo? I mean,
No, I'm not on edibles. I'm just full of spunk. I can't wait to talk about these games. I can't wait for the Cowboys to just run Zeke Elliott into the line of scrimmage on every first and second down and be like, all right, Dak, it's 3rd and 7. Good luck, because that's basically what they do.
Andy, if I could point out, next time you visit the United Kingdom, don't lead with that phrase because that's got a totally different meaning over here.
Oh, really?
what has a totally different meaning? Mm-hmm.
See, it was so dirty. Even the Wi-Fi from Scotland wouldn't allow him to say it.
Yeah.
All right. Nextfanup@gmail.com is our email address. And Paul from New Zealand is one of our most notable emailers.
Oh, yes.
And I had mentioned on the recap show, talking about Colin Kaepernick's, dog and pony show that occurred last weekend that he had emailed in, and apparently his Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend had said nasty things about the Bengals owners. And Paul writes in and says, no, that's not what I said. I said Colin's girlfriend has not been very nice, referring to Ravens owner Steve Biscotti, not whichever Brown family member currently mismanages the Bengals. No idea where or how you got Cincinnati. Well, because I think on the preview podcast, when James and I talked about the teams that Colin could actually play for, legitimately be a quarterback for, the Dolphins were team number 1. The Bengals were team number 2. And we decided that the Titans or the Buccaneers would be another option, but it would also depend on where those teams felt with their current quarterback situation. But ultimately, we know Colin's not going to play in the NFL ever again. He's not going to get picked up by any team. He still hasn't been picked up by any team. I put out a request to have him on the show. He's apparently skirting us. He doesn't want to talk to us here on Next Fan Up. I don't get it. We're giving him an open platform to say whatever he wants.
His girlfriend's the worst, by the way. Like, she has no credentials to say anything. Her only credentials is being on Guy Code on MTV. Remember that show, Andy?
I do. And listen, we don't have to get into Colin Kaepernick's girlfriend, but broadly and largely speaking, I agree that she is probably not the best influence on him. But you know what? As I've said, I've said the following about Kaepernick for most of the past 3 years, and I'm about to say it again. Honestly, Colin Kaepernick, by doing what he's doing, he is ensuring that he is going to be written about in like sports textbooks 50 years from now. Whereas floundering around as anywhere between the 26th and 36th best quarterback in the league, that's not how you get written about 50 years from now. Whereas he will now be written about 50 years from now. So to the extent that he actually does want to play football again, which I'm not sure he does, to be honest, to the extent that he does want to play football again, he's been incredibly unsuccessful in doing that. But to the extent that he wants to be remembered years from now, he's already – we're going to talk about him years from now way more than we otherwise
pretty much
have.
Where James and I have pretty much left the argument at the does Kaepernick really want to play again? He believes he does. I don't believe he actually does. And honestly, it's a whole lot of conversation about somebody who's going to lose another game. So
Exactly. That's all that matters. Like, he's not good enough to create all this drama. End of story. Go away.
Bye weeks this week: the Kansas City Chiefs, Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, and Arizona Cardinals. Things that are happening this week that I definitely want to touch upon. One, and we don't need to get deep into the Pro Bowl here, but Pro Bowl voting has begun. If we want to, I can go over the top vote getters by position, but I really don't right now. The top vote getter is Lamar Jackson with 146,171 votes, followed by Patrick Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Dalvin Cook, and Christian McCaffrey. Those are your top 5, baby.
Damn, that's disrespectful. Where's Dak?
Interesting. All 5 are under the age of 25, and additionally, 7 first or second year players currently lead their conference in votes received at their respective positions. So the game is definitely going through this youth transition that we've noted, especially with the quarterbacks as the year has gone on. But it's more than just the quarterbacks. It's also some of these other positions as well. It's an interesting time to be an NFL fan because you could work at Andy's office and not even know what the 90s CBS theme sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not these kids' fault that they were all born in 1995. To quote Robin Williams from Good Will Hunting, it's not your fault. Listen, it's not your fault. What a great scene that is.
What a great impression that was. That was right up there with my Sean Connery, I have to say.
Not your fault.
Your mom.
It was a great impression, but we're still to find out who the impression was.
The Ravens, by the way, lead all clubs in total votes received. That would be players for the Ravens in the Pro Bowl, followed by the 49ers, Packers, Cowboys, and Vikings. Those are your top 5 teams so far getting votes in the Pro Bowl. So plenty of time to vote. Go vote. I think it's NFL.com/Pro Bowl. I don't know. Search Pro Bowl on your Google searches, whatever. It's pretty easy to find. You can also tweet your votes as well if you wanted to do that. That's it for now. There's other stuff. The NFL 100, we're going to talk about that at the end of the show. There's an interesting article on ESPN.com that came out today that came from, what's his name? I want to say it's Seth Wickersham, and it is Seth Wickersham. It's Seth Wickersham and Don Van Natta Jr. together talking about the inside fight between the Rams and Chargers over Los Angeles. It's an interesting read because it chronicles essentially the move into LA, the NFL's move into LA. And the key thing I took out of this extremely long, ridiculously long article that didn't need to be as long as it is that the NFL has forced this issue to the point where there is a lawsuit that they sort of disregarded that came from St. Louis, saying, it's just another angry town that we left behind. And so far, every single court proceeding that has gone on, the city of St. Louis has won. To the point where the NFL could be looking at a $35 million loss to the city of St. Louis. Not just for the Rams, but also for the Chargers, which will be a problem because they're also mentioning, as we've noted by just watching television, the Rams and the Chargers aren't selling tickets in their stadiums. It is a very, very interesting
that's what happens when your team's stuck.
Can I say something about St. Louis really quickly?
I suppose you could.
So the whole St. Louis, you know how, listen, I know this isn't a baseball podcast, but I still remain a baseball fan to this day. And the St. Louis Cardinals fans, they have this incredibly annoying shtick about, we're great fans because we're so folksy and Midwestern and we don't boo people like you do in New York and Boston. Get over yourself. God.
They don't boo people. They should boo people. That's your right as a fan. I think it even says it on the ticket that you do not have the right to boo the players or the refs, but everyone should.
The St. Louis Blues, as many of you may not know, the St. Louis Blues were very good last year, matriculated all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and they had trouble selling out finals games. So it's like, okay, St. Louis, and listen, I know it's hockey, but like live hockey is pretty cool, especially when you're in the Stanley flipping Cup, and they couldn't even sell out their home game in the Stanley Cup. So it's like, all right, St. Louis, get over yourself. You lost the Rams. You probably should have. Anyway, that's it.
All right, let's move on now to the Pigskin Pick'em. Last week was easier a week for picks. I got 11 right on what I will term blowout weekend. Even our power ranking, I even got 11 right versus the spread. The power rankings did pretty well last week. I don't have their record in front of me, though, unfortunately. There was a gentleman, though, in our Pigskin Pick'em group who had 13 correct. His name is Kevin OD10. That's not you, Kevin, is it?
No, I've made 0 picks on the Pick'em this year. I apologize.
Well, Kevin OD10 got 13 right last week in our Pigskin Pick'em group, so you have an official invite to join us on next week's show. Just email nextfanup@gmail.com, and you can join us talking about the fight for LA or Pigskin Pick'em or whatever, because that's what we do on the show. Failed to mention, by the way, in week 10, we had lost all of our perfect pickers in our eliminator, the Colts and the Saints. You can thank them. They took L's in week 10, and that killed a lot of eliminator pools, not just ours. But
that's when I was eliminated, stupid Colts.
The other interesting factor about this coming week here, week 12, is there are 12 teams that comprise the NFL's 2019 playoff field, in 5 weeks, 12 games